Hey friends, if you're new here, my mission for 2024 is to create content geared towards new and young software engineers and computer science students, outside of just being another coding YouTube channel. And I've gotten a lot of questions over the last couple months about how and where and why to start, and once they have started, where the hell do they go from there? So in this video, we're gonna go over the top 4 mistakes that I see students making every single year, including my time when I was in university. And before we go any further, all of the things that I'm about to say are not the only things. They are not the only right way. They're not even the only perspective to look at some of these things. So I'm just talking from my own experience, as I have gone through school and been a paid professional now for over a decade. If this video can even help one of you out there struggling or following in my footsteps, it would have been all of the worth to make this video. So let's dive into mistake number 1, not using your free time. I'm remembering back to when I was in college. Parties, late night video game sessions, playing Quidditch. Yes, I am that kind of nerd. But thinking back, I don't know of the real way that I was spending my time. And of course, college is for having fun and going to some parties and playing with friends and going to the dining hall together. But hindsight 2020, I have some serious regrets on how Wild West and how much of a coaster I was when it came to time management. And now as somebody working in 9 to 5 and raising a family, there is no free time. Now my days are filled with work and responsibilities and bills and retirement and taking kids to and from school and practices and spending adequate time on my health and a whole slew of other stuff that you have to get done during the work week. All that to say is it's difficult. But as a student, you have loads of free time, and maybe it doesn't feel like it right now, but once you get through school and start having to give work 40+ hour weeks and you have chores and family time and kids, you start to realize how quickly you have no time. Using your free time isn't just to avoid time wasters, but it is to have intentional action and real plans on how you're spending your time. So it's totally fine to schedule in a game session here and there or go hang out with the homies, as long as you're also scheduling in some time to do some of the other things, like learning new skills, building that side hustle, going to explore and experiment new interests. All that so in the future you can have the autonomy, for some of you the money, the freedom, and the happiness that we're all craving right now. It's like Alex Hormozy said,
the biggest debt all of us pay is ignorance. And so I heard this close at this pitch years ago, and this guy got on stage and he was like, "Hey, ma'am," she was like, "How much do you make?" And she was like, $50,000. So he wrote $50,000 on the whiteboard, and then he wrote $1 million on top of the 50,000, and he subtracted it. It said 950,000. He said, "You pay life $950,000 every single year for not knowing how to make $1 million a year."
Right now, if you just take 1% of your day, let's just round it up and call it 15 minutes, but just take 15 minutes every single day for the remainder of your semester, and you've spent about 1,500 minutes upskilling, reading that book that you've been putting off for forever, or investing into yourself for your future and to start paying down that ignorance debt. And if you want to use your time efficiently with something that brings you joy and is sustainable, check out my last video, card right here, where I go over the Feel Good Productivity book by Ali Abdaal. Moving on to mistake number 2, focusing too much on your degree and not enough time focusing on the field or niche that you want to get involved with. Look, I get it. Your computer science degree probably makes it feel that there are very few paths out there: front end, back end, and IT. Hell, I don't even think most of them have DevOps or quality assurance or product or design or cyber or the other million things that there are out there to do. I suppose like a computer science degree is this blanket cover-all type thing, but they don't even talk about all of these fields. But I am here to tell you that it is not true. There is more than just these 2 or 3 or 4 paths. And not only is there, really a million paths, but there are a million different markets that you can get into. Med tech, fintech, prop tech, literally insert any word and apply tech on the end, and I guarantee that there is a job waiting for you that you just have to discover. Hear me out. Maybe you're an avid fisher and you love fishing boats. There is a job out there for you working on the fish finder tech that is installed on the boat. You just have to go discover it. All of this to say that there are way more opportunities out there than just Mang. And I know that's what's pumped all throughout school. You have to go work for one of these big tech type companies. There's lots more else out there. In fact, there are so many things out there. Check the link that I left you down below. I compiled a list with some of the emerging markets and trends that I'm seeing in 2024 that you might find interesting. Put a little thought in this. What kind of lifestyle do you want? What are you interested in? Where do you want to live and how long of a commute do you want to have? All of these factors can be put into a list and basically reverse engineer to whatever job or market that you're interested in. And I know some of those questions can be daunting, and it might change over the years. That's okay. You can spend some of that time that you just freed up from mistake number 1 researching and learning specifics about what's needed to be a big player in that particular market. Your CS degree is likely very broad and not very deep. Ideating that job and putting it on your horizon is what's going to allow you to have clarity and focus while you're in your job search. If you spend your time wisely in school and nail down the job market that you're interested in and spend some of your free time upskilling in this area, I promise you, when you graduate, you will be far better off than most of the other engineers that are just stumbling their way into that market. You'll be prepared. You'll probably have already learned some of the skills and tools of that trade, and your resume will just fire up to the top of that stack. Some may feel that this next one is controversial, but mistake number 3 is underestimating the value of your network and building your personal brand. Just about 2 years ago, if you were breathing, you could probably find a high-paying tech job within weeks of your application. Unfortunately, right now in January of 2024, that is just not the case. It is a brutal market out there. Mass layoffs were a major factor in 2023 and still seems to be a major factor in 2024.
The new year is not starting off on a happy note for workers at some of the country's largest tech companies, with more layoffs just announced.
And I am not saying that you have to be a YouTuber or a blogger or really try to build an audience of any kind. But I am suggesting that outside of your GitHub commits, you find other ways to connect with people that are out in the field. In fact, the very reason I find this so critical is that research states that internal referrals have a 4x more likely to be offered a job versus external applicants. Maybe these numbers are hocus pocus, and by no means is it some scientific research, but I've never met a single person that said, man, I wish I didn't have that connection with that person who's working in the field that I want to work in. Think about it. And maybe you picked up what I'm putting down, but building your personal brand of any caliber, even if that is just a LinkedIn, is not something you do when you get laid off. It's not something you do right when you graduate and you're just now approaching in the job market. It takes a lot of time. It's about adding real value to the community and not just trying to sell something. Getting involved or adding value or providing a service is the best insurance policy that you can invest your time and money into as a new engineer, in my opinion. If you're a student or recent grad sitting there and saying, well, I don't have anything to offer, bullshit. You're young, you understand the trendy market, and compared to most other 40-year-olds who are probably pretty deep in their career, you understand how social media works. You understand the problems of your generation more than anybody else. Go and solve them. And along the way, you'll probably find out that solving them is a whole hell of a lot of fun. In my opinion, the biggest, hands down, the biggest mistake that you can make at any level of your career, but especially if you are a young or new engineer or a computer science student, is mistake number 4, not getting a mentor. As I mentioned, mistake number 2, there are tons of markets out there. And when I was in your shoes, I'd be saying things like, cool guy, but how the hell do I learn about all of these? And that's where your mentor comes in. So unless you're soul searching out there for all of these different markets, find a mentor and use them as your cheat code. They've been where you're at now, they've already made all the mistakes, and they found the shortcuts. Use your mentor to find these career paths. Leverage them to identify the trendy techs that you need to stay on top of, and most importantly, use them to find the pitfalls that you need to avoid. I personally have learned more from a 2-hour lunch session than I have from months of trying to do things on my own. Having somebody who's willing to challenge you and hold you accountable, help you make network connections, and a whole slew of extra benefits is what's going to take you from level 1 all the way up to level 10. And I don't want to leave you hanging. I know a lot of that sounds theoretical, like nice to haves. Hit the link in the description below for a 5-day, 100% free, literally not trying to sell you anything, 5-day email course to help find a mentor and learn how to better leverage them. Overall, the tech world is scary. It's fucking huge, but it is crazy fun, and you will get to work on some amazing, awesome projects along the way. And remember, you don't need to walk alone. You have a huge community all over the world, whether it's on LinkedIn or on Threads. Let me know, hit me up, of people who are supporting you and want to see you win. And if nobody has told you this before, I am one of those. I want to support you and I want to see you win. If you found this video helpful or you like some of the resources or the email course, go ahead and hit the thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, as we have a lot of more awesome content coming along in 2024. And let me know, do you have any questions? Do you want to share your experience, or do you have other tips on mistakes that CS students are making right now? Let us know in the description down below. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next week. Peace.